So the first speaker will be Mark Graham.
Okay. I hope this is going to be new information, that you're not going to repeat yourself.
Well, apparently I need to repeat myself because I need to repeat myself. Every time the city considers annexing a new area, one of the factors that city planning department must present and this council must consider is the long-term burden to the city for doing so. Typically, this is the net cost or benefit over 20 years. Factors to consider are the long-term cost of traffic management, public safety liabilities, water, sewer, and sanitation. The city planning department and city council have repeatedly failed to rationally balance limited short-term free money from developer impact fees against the real long-term cost of the resulting infrastructure liabilities. We can't do anything about 163rd because we don't have the money. We can't do anything about Jomax and 163rd because of the wash. We can't do anything about the train tracks because that's ADOT and BNSF. We can't do anything about adding a traffic light because national standards don't warrant it. These obvious burdens are rarely considered when annexing more and more county parcels and increasing the housing density by 9 times. It's just kicked down the road. Councilmember Winters laments with his constituents on how horrible the traffic is on the 163rd corridor, and then just last meeting votes to increase the housing density along that same corridor. Your own traffic reports show that the 1 lane of 163rd Avenue carries more traffic than the 3 lanes of the fully developed Reams Road in town. And that's knowing that impact fees don't go to the roads because y'all moved that over to parks and recreations. Yeah, because there's this little rule that says if you don't use the impact fees in a year, you have to refund them to the developer. And during the housing crisis, there wasn't enough impact fees for the roads, so they transferred it all to parks and recreations, where it still is. So yeah, no impact fees to the roads. Now, parks are nice, don't get me wrong, I like parks, but it would also be nice if the residents had a safe road to use to get to the park. Maybe it's time to move those impact fees back to roads. It still won't help the 163rd corridor, but it's a start. While cramming a bunch of houses on any single acre has a negligible impact, their cumulative effect is devastating. So when city planning says to the Planning and Zoning Commission that this parcel will have a negligible impact on traffic, that may be true. The problem is we're dealing with the cumulative effect of many parcels. 10 houses do not matter, 8,500 do, and that is what has already been approved or pending on the 163rd corridor. Long after the city has jubilantly spent all the free money from impact fees, the residents take up the financial liability for the city council's rash decisions. Response times for law enforcement and emergency services suffer in the outlying areas. Irregular jurisdictional borders complicate emergency services. Traffic congestion is not just an inconvenience, but a major public safety liability. Flooded roads from inadequate storm drains cost the city, not the developer. And that's just how it is now. The additional 8,500 houses planned on the 163rd Happy Valley Jomax area will double the existing problem. Turns sour after about 5 years when all that free money's gone. If I propose to cram 300 more chairs up on this dais here, dais, still trying to figure out how to pronounce it, you'd think I'm crazy. They won't fit, but I can make them fit. I just have to make the chairs smaller. And you'll kind of have to turn sideways to move in and out, and people will be stepping on your toes. Oh, is 300 too many? Well, work with me. I'll compromise. How about 299? That's a good compromise, isn't it? See how reasonable I am? It's long past time for this council to put the real well-known long-term consequences of housing density and road infrastructure above the lure of short-term free money and just say no to cramming more and more houses into an area that lacks the supporting infrastructure. Making the chairs smaller is not a solution. Thank you.
Next speaker is Jane Pfeiffer. And as she's coming up, Mayor, I looked at all the forms. No other forms are marked called to the public.
I do have a new topic this evening. Reading excerpts from the City of Surprise Policies and Procedure Manuals. One excerpt on the very first page of written text states that it requires that public officials comply with the letter and the spirit of the laws and policies affecting the operation of government. It requires that every official be independent and impartial in matters brought before them. Officials must adhere to ethical standards that eliminate disappointment born of dishonesty, conflicts of interest, unfairness, or illegality. Preservation of the public trust is critical for the preservation of democracy. From Rule 1, to act in the public interest, members will work for the common good of the City of Surprise and not for any private or personal interest. Rule 9, conflict of interest. Members must constantly be on guard against conflicts of interest, whether real or perceived. Officials must not be involved in discussing or deciding any issues over which the council may have jurisdiction and which may have an impact which may impact a financial or property interest of either the members or the members' relatives. 248 land use and development related items have come before this council since November of 2018. Campaign contributions from developers, land use attorneys, home builders groups, HOAs, and PACs are definitely a financial interest that is problematic. We request respectfully that every single member of this council who has taken more than 50% of their campaign contributions from this group recuse themselves from all further votes regarding land use issues. And if you would like me to name names and percentages, I absolutely will. If you want lists of what donors you have in common, I have that too. If you want the specific voting record, I can show it to you. Do we need to know who needs to recuse themselves? Mayor Hall, in 2018, 41.7% of your campaign contributions came from this development group. In 2020, that campaign number jumped to 92.3%, sir. With 245 votes in favor of development, that puts your voting percentage at 98.8%. Councilman Winters, in 2018, your campaign took in 68.6% of contributions from the development group. That is a significant increase from your previous campaign where it was only 19%. You have voted in favor of developers and land use matters 244 out of 248 times. Although it should be noted that in the city council minutes, you're actually assigned one more than that. It still reflects that error, sir. Councilman Remley, seriously, 100% of your 2020 campaign contributions came from the development category, as compared to your previous campaign where it was only 32.4%. Mr. Duffy, in 2018, 21.17% of your campaign contributions came from developers and developer interest groups. In 2020, that number increased to 37.41%. You have voted in favor of land use related items 99.2% of the time. Councilman Hastings, realtor PACs made up 23.79% of your contributions. You have voted yes 66 out of 67 times. Ms. Klein, 24.6% of your contributions came from developers and real estate PACs. You have voted yes 100% of the time. The only person on the council whose hands are clean is Councilman Judd. Councilman Judd is the only member to not take a single campaign contribution from anyone related to or involved in or affiliated with land development.
Okay, that's it. You've got your 4 minutes. Take your stuff and bye.
We hereby demand that the city council members recuse themselves and abstain from voting until they restore the public faith.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. On the consent agenda, does anybody want to pull anything from the consent agenda?
Yeah, I need to pull item 6, Mayor.
Okay.
Shame on you.
Number 6. Any others? Chris, just the one?
Just item 6 for
Anybody
me, sir.
else? has anything to pull? Okay. Can I get a motion for the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda minus item 6.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded.
Go right ahead. Unanimous, yes, vote Mayor.
Okay. All right, item number 6.
Item number 6, consideration and action committee approval of the turnover agreement between the City of Surprise and LCD Asante LLC, Resolution 2021-91.
Mayor, I'd like to table this item indefinitely
Okay,
Second.
or postpone indefinitely.
is that seconded?
Second.
Okay. Been moved and seconded to table this indefinitely. Please cast your vote.
Go right ahead. That's a unanimous to table indefinitely, item number 6.
Okay, item number,
I just wanted to make a point, if the owner of the Toast restaurant is here, your liquor license was approved. Thank you. Hey,
okay,
which item, Mayor?
item number 21.
Item number 21, consideration and action pertaining to approval of an annexation of an approximately 9.96 acre property known as Enclave 4 at Paloma Creek, generally located west of 155th Avenue on the north side of Frontier Drive. Ordinance 2021-09, case FS 20-739.